Travis, when did you move to Los Angeles and why?
2016, August 2016. Yeah, I've only been out here a couple of years.
Oh, wow, okay.
And again, because I wanted to get into television writing. Like, you can write features anywhere, but if you want to do TV, you got to be out here where the rooms are. You know, they might film in other places. You know, like Vancouver's a big place to film because of all the film incentives that they have. You know, like tax breaks and stuff like that. But the rooms are all still out here in Los Angeles. There's a couple in New York, but mostly out here. So since I wanted to do TV writing, I kind of had to be where the rooms are, and moved out here to do that.
And what were you doing prior to 2016? What was life like for Travis?
So I moved here from Virginia Beach. So like I said, I'm originally from Michigan. I moved from Michigan to Virginia in 2011 to be a massage therapist. Yeah, I've done a lot of jobs in my life. So I moved there to be a massage therapist, did that for a few years, kind of got burned out on it. And then was working as a dispatcher for an alarm security company.
Oh, wow.
But also, yeah, but still writing on the side, you know, for writing. So like I got hired when I was working there, got hired to write 8 episodes of a sci-fi series in the UK that, to the best of my knowledge, still has not come out. And that was, you know, years ago now. And wrote like a bunch of different features for like independent producers all around the country. Like a lot of people, when I tell them out here that, oh yeah, I was getting jobs in Virginia, and they're like, oh, well, that's different out here. No, I was writing for Hollywood producers, like low budget Hollywood producers from Virginia. You know, so I was still doing the writing, but doing all these other odd jobs on the side as well.
And did you fly out or drive?
I drove.
You drove?
Yeah, so actually, took me a couple days to get out here because I drove from Virginia Beach. I drove up to Michigan so I could see my parents because I hadn't seen them in a couple of years since I had moved. I still haven't seen my sister even since, when was the last time I saw Naoka? Like 2011, I think. Like, I think it was like the first year I had moved away and I came back for Christmas. That's the last time I even seen my sister. So hopefully she comes out to my wedding when we have it later this year.
Do you want to give her an invitation right now, or?
Well, she knows
she's
one of my best men, basically. So
oh, okay.
Nice. I have grooms people, you know. Instead
there
of
we go.
Yeah. So I had to have my sister in there. But yeah, so I moved. So when I was moving, I drove up to Michigan, spent like a day or so with my parents. And then drove the rest of the way out here. Like, I made a couple stops like overnight because it's too far to drive in one thing. So I think I stopped in Kansas City and then a second stop in Phoenix where my cousin lives, and hung out with him for a day, and then got out here and then had my first Hollywood meeting like 2 days after I arrived. So with a manager, it didn't go so well, unfortunately. But you know, it's first meeting, can't really expect because I didn't know what to do at my first meeting. All my experience before then was either meetings on the phone or via email, you know, so. I feel like I babbled like I did, like I'm doing now.
Well, I'm actually maybe just leaving out names to protect the innocent or not so innocent. Okay. What do you think went poorly about it?
The fact that I didn't really know how to conduct a meeting first off, so I was kind of going off on various tangents on all my various projects. And it was the manager, so they want to know like your best thing and what you do, not everything you've ever written kind of thing, you know. And so I was sitting there going, oh, I've written this horror and I've written this sci-fi and I've written this thing for TV and movies and blah, blah. And it's like, when you get done so many things, you don't want to mention all those things because nobody cares at a certain point, you know, like, especially when things aren't being produced. So that's the one advice. I probably break my own advice often enough and stuff is don't tell everyone when you're having a meeting with the manager, don't tell them every single thing up front, you know, tell them like a date. Things. Yeah. I've had some bad days where I've done that for sure. Yeah.
Okay. So like you're going out
so
on a
like
date.
going off way too many tangents, like oversharing like crazy, did not go well. And then not really knowing, I guess, like where you fit in the industry is kind of hurtful because you want, like, there's so many people out there who want to do all these different things. You go to like a networking thing and you hear people who are like 8,000 hyphenates. Oh, I'm a writer, director, producer, art director, blah, 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 you know, or people who are like, oh yeah, I can write everything. I write drama and horror and comedy. No, you don't. You write like one thing really well. You might be interested in writing those other things. You might even have scripts and those other things, but there's no way you write equally well across the board in every genre. That's just not happening.
Do you think it was just being eager and maybe, the industry hadn't beaten you down, and so you didn't know, and you were just being innocently eager about it?
Possibly. But I feel like, again, that kind of goes with like a naivete about how the industry really works. Not having had any in-person time, like face-to-face with Hollywood industry folks, it was just, sending out an email or being on the phone with somebody. Reading screenwriting books and stuff, they usually tell you like how to write the scripts. There's not really a lot of business-oriented books out there. So you don't really learn how to conduct a meeting very well unless you're actually doing it, because you can have all the theory on it you want, but until you're face-to-face with somebody, knowing how you're going to behave with them, totally different.
When you finished that meeting, did you already have an intuition about this didn't go well?
Yeah, kind of. Kind of like when you go for an interview for a job, you kind of have an idea if it went well or not.
Right.
I've had meetings with producers too where I have no clue how it went when I walked out, because they're so straight-faced. They're not giving anything away.
Right.
And then so you could think you did terribly, and then they call you the next day, want you to come and write their thing, So it's hard to gauge usually, but I feel like in that particular case, I kind of knew that it wasn't going to go the way I wanted it to go when I walked out. So when they start checking their watch or their phone and stuff partway through the meeting, that's not a good thing.
With the phone thing, it might just be typical etiquette these days with people,
Sure.
being glued to their communication. But when you left that meeting, what was your feeling about being in LA? You'd been here, 2 days?
Yeah, I had gotten here Sunday night of that week, and the meeting with her was Tuesday morning. So yeah, like a day and a half maybe. I know when I was moving out here, people were telling me about like all the traffic, and I'm gonna be sitting on the freeway forever. But since I'm originally from Detroit area, like nobody lives in Detroit, but people work there, so it's like the commute that way. So the only difference is here, it's much shorter distances in the traffic. So, but the weather is fantastic. I hate snow, which is why I wanted to get out of Michigan to begin with. And the snow followed me to Virginia, because a friend of mine who lives in Virginia, where I moved to, told me, oh, there's no snow here ever. Like, first year I moved there, blizzard of like 13 inches. Every year I lived there, it was at least 8 inches. Out here, I have not had a single day of snow. It's fantastic. I love it.
So then you still had your hopes up, or did you need
absolutely.
like a down day?
I'm not one to easily get down, especially knowing, like I said, how hard it is anyway. So it's just sticking a notch on the belt kind of thing of, oh, here's another no. Okay, moving on. You can't just let the no's get to you. Otherwise, like, you will drop out of this business like immediately. Like, even like Spielberg is even getting no's, and he's Steven Spielberg,
That's true. Yeah.
You're always going to get the no's, and because you can't appease everybody's tastes and everything, So like I've had scripts that in one contest doesn't even get to quarterfinals. Another one will be a semifinalist, give them a top 2 or something like that. You have people getting notes on scripts where one person will love this scene and talk about how amazing the scene is. The next person's like, oh, this is a terrible scene. It needs to change. And it's like they're talking about the exact same thing, and one person loves it, one person hates it. So, you can't really base your feelings on the industry on what one person's opinion is. You kind of got to keep going and keep trying and getting your stuff out there.